Welcome back to another video for today. If you're new here, my name is Tiffany, and usually I react to DCI, WGI, indoor percussion shows. Today we're gonna do something a little bit different. Today I am not even reacting. I'm not sure what I'm doing. I'm watching a conversation with the 2023 Blue Devil staff. I wanted to switch it up just a little bit. I'm not even sure if this is gonna be worth commenting on, but I thought it'd be interesting to switch it up a little bit. If y'all have any suggestions of something like this, like conversations or interviews or behind the scenes, like I know Blue Devils does their insider report, which I'm gonna dive into after this because I just love that they do that. If you have anything like that that's somewhat different from just reacting to shows, just to switch it up a little bit, y'all let me know, and go ahead and subscribe so that if you give a suggestion, then you'll be here to watch what you suggested. Okay, so we're gonna see what this is all about. I'm curious. I love the Blue Devils a lot. They might be, I'm not even gonna put my ranking up there, but I like them. I like what they stand for and who they are and whatnot. So I'm just curious to hear what this conversation is about. So I am gonna be pausing, so please don't be upset. And I'm not gonna be judgmental like I usually am. Like I said, leave y'all's thoughts or suggestions in the comments, okay? So here we go. Well, let's see. I mean, who is in charge of like this videography? It belongs on the big screen. Okay, the cutouts. Now, this is their 2023 show.
Our show this year is called The Cutouts.
The Cutouts.
Very good name.
It's about the later works of Henri Matisse. This is kind of about him rediscovering his artistic voice after a pretty serious, debilitating illness.
He lost some of his motor skills, and he was getting elderly, so he started creating art with cutouts, with paper cutouts, and using kind of collage style, and that was that period in his career, and that's some of the art that we all see when you see Matisse stuff. And that's the period that Scott wanted to examine what Matisse was doing. So we're trying to use that for influence. Some of the fact that some of our props look like what you might look like if we cut your body out of paper, what that would look like, and basically just trying to brainstorm within the realm of what Matisse might have been thinking, how he was going to make art without having all of his motor skills.
Oh, interesting. That's way deeper than I thought.
That are in a way where there's individuals that are kind of in this two-dimensional plane, and they're moving in this two-dimensional plane.
Let me pause that right there, and I'm sorry, but just the fact that he's talking about how you move when you are trying to, I would say stick to the script, but when you have a storyline, he just said this is what it's about, but then your choreography does not have anything to do with, well, what would you move like? What would you act like? What type of qualities or characteristics would you have in your movements to reflect what we're trying to show and say? So I love that he even said, think about 2D. Think about the 2D plane. When you're a cutout, you get it. So I love that. And I like how they are taking it's not even a simple concept, but it is. You can just look surface level like, oh, rock, paper, scissors, whatever. But the fact that they're still taking something really, and I don't know who Matisse is, I'm just a normal everyday person. Like, what was I going with that? To really think of a concept, but find a deeper thing about it. You could have just said, hey, let's do a show about rock, paper, scissors. I don't know what came first, the idea or the person. Should we do something like this, or I don't know. Sorry, I'm talking too much.
Almost as if they're a literal cutout.
Exactly.
So I think it's really cool seeing little thematic elements start to get really thrown into the show. So it's not just drill pictures, it's not just props, it's also what we're doing with our bodies.
The show's broken up into 3 stages this year, and stage 1 kind of goes through a gamut of different identities. The first third of stage 1 is the ascension, and it kind of represents the part in Matisse's life where he was coming out of his illness. He was recovering from his surgery and starting to...
What I was trying to say is...
And then that transition...
What came first? The thought of, hey, we should do something kind of paper cutout, I don't know, like rock, paper, scissors, or did Matisse come first and then you went from there and then found out the show? Like, which came first, chicken or the egg? I'm just curious about that.
into cuts and shapes, which is the middle part of stage one.
Let me back up a
That's
little
where
bit,
we
sorry.
have tons of in Matisse's life where he was coming out of his illness. He was recovering from his surgery and starting to discover himself again. And then that transitions into cuts and shapes, which is the middle part of stage one. And that's where we have tons of variety, tons of interesting color and timbre, and like some really cool things that feature our drum set player. So that's going to be really fun.
Our drum set player, Mikey, phenomenal. So he's got his moments in this show, and it is spectacular. Anybody who plays drum set or knows any knowledge of drum set, he's going to play stuff you probably never heard before, and it's so clean. It's just ridiculous.
And then the lighter part of stage one, that
love
part of
the
the
drum
show
set.
represents Icarus, which is one of Matisse's more famous pieces of work. There's a lot of different things to take away from it, from like the wartime ambiance and soundscapes and things we do that really should take you to a place and kind of help you feel that a little more viscerally, to kind of a reimagining of a speech by Charles de Gaulle, where we did some interesting glitchy tape edit effects and, you know, kind of leaned into a little bit of the identity of the show, which is manipulation of ideas in unconventional ways. Stage two is, you know, basically the ballad section of the show, and the music choice is Joni Mitchell's Both Sides Now. This part of the show kind of represents the chapel, which is, you know, one of Matisse's later works was that he designed and created every element of a chapel in Vence. It's a really beautiful and striking summation of Matisse's work in that period. And I think in interviews, Matisse talked about how that's one of his most triumphant works and the things he's proudest of. Stage three is entitled Chromatic Composition. The title alludes to one of Matisse's final works, which is The Snail, or as he called it, I think a secondary title was Chromatic Composition. That title is kind of evocative, and it's like a really haunting piece of artwork where, you know, you could see the way the colors interweave. It's a very joyful, bright color palette, but it's very like multifaceted and has a lot of dimensions to it. So this part of the show is kind of bringing things back full circle, and what's happening visually is that we are kind of bringing the props back towards the center of the field and kind of creating the stage for that piece of art and kind of our homage to that. And musically, we kind of go through a lot of variety and a lot of complexity and even a little bit of some dissonant chromaticism to kind of allude to that title element and kind of the inspiration for that section of the show.
These are smart people.
From a musical perspective, the journey is really interesting. We're going through a lot of styles, a lot of different changes this season. You're going to hear everything from Stan Kenton, straight ahead jazz, Bob Grettinger, City of Glass, modern anime music, to symphonic film score, James Horner's Grand Canyon Fanfare. It's a really diverse palette of colors and styles, which presents a challenge and a lot of cool opportunities for us in the brass program.
Yeah. And that makes sense because, look, first of all, I want to say that having an actual, like, this is phase one, phase two, phase three, because you could easily be inspired by a person and just do everything from them with no real rhyme or reason to how you're going to string it together. Because you could just take, I guess, Matisse or whoever and just kind of throw it all in. We'll just do this because we like it, and we'll do this next because we like it. Or you can put it in an order that makes sense. And then the fact that he said we're going to use a lot of different music styles also makes sense. You don't just do a lot of music styles because you can. It needs to make sense, because if part of the show was I'm trying to figure out how to put all these pieces together with a new sort of framework, or now I have a different skill, or my skill is different, I have to now figure out how to create differently, innovatively, and that makes sense that, hey, we're gonna throw a lot at you, but that's a part of the whole concept of the show. Like we're figuring out the elements that work together or don't, you know. It doesn't have to be perfect when you're figuring stuff out. So all makes sense to me. You know, sometimes people just do stuff just because they want to, and like that doesn't add anything to the show, but this does. So I'm glad they're explaining it for me.
I love about the show so far, as far as the percussion aspect, we're going outside the box. This year, what Dave Glide has done, you know, with the help of all of us and his team, is we are playing stuff that I've never seen before, and I've been around a while. So it's really fresh to see some new vocabulary, new height structures with how we're playing certain patterns, and it sounds extremely different. With mature players, we're able to do that.
I think what they're going to see is a production that turns very quickly from style to style. I think they're going to see a production that has a lot of excitement, a lot of emotion in it, a lot of passion, a lot of variety and textures. I think you're going to see, you know, with the horn line, we're going to have moments of beauty in the show, moments that we really want to draw the audience in. but we're also going to work to create some really exciting, just visceral moments that the crowd can really grab onto.
Yeah.
But also, you know, the technical, the precision of the technique and the various styles, really working to present the most professional, artistic approach to music making as possible.
I'm glad he mentioned like visceral, because if it's telling us a story in the beginning of how like a tragedy, like a tragedy is like, you don't want to make light of whoever you're inspired from. It's not just like, oh yeah, and something bad happened and now he has to learn how to blah, 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 and we're just going to take it so lightly and play around, cut out, you know. It's like, okay, but this was a serious thing for this person's life that was life-changing. So let us all feel that moment or that period of his life where everything changed, and let's all explore together, you know. And let's all feel the feelings. And even the feelings of heartbreak and despair. Also the feelings of joy and creativity and having that fire and that spark and that innovation and the excitement, you know. Let's feel all the feelings.
So this is year 44 with the Blue Devils. And the season so far has been great. The kids get along so well. The staff gets along. It's an older staff. We've been around a while. Most of us have been around a while. And it's still that camaraderie.
So you look pretty good.
Still that desire.
44? You don't look a day over 45.
Seeing them perform on the field. And they are jamming. And I can't wait to see the final product.
Yeah. And those uniforms are amazing. Like, they look so good. Like, good Lord. So I'm excited for the show. I'm trying not to react to the show until like it's done, because I know there's just a lot to get done. So I am going to hold off on reacting to the actual show until maybe the final. So y'all come back in the beginning of August for my reaction to their full 2023 show. I enjoyed this conversation with the Blue Devils. I mean, they never disappoint me, that's for sure. So if y'all enjoyed this video and this style, let me know. If you don't, let me know. It's fine. I just want to switch it up a little bit. Make sure that y'all go check out, I don't know, go check out whatever it recommends for you right over here and hit that subscribe button. And thank y'all for watching. I really do appreciate it. I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye.